It is said that Key West is haunted by ghosts of the past. The town is full of stories centered around ghost ships, mutinous pirates, and haunted forts. But perhaps the most peculiar spirit is not of a person or a place, but of a beloved object.
I think one of the creepiest ones in Key West has to do with Robert the doll. It's Key West's own enchanted doll.
David Sloan knows all about the hauntings of Key West. He wrote Ghosts of Key West and started Key West Ghost Tours.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you have cameras, do take pictures of this house behind me. We have a lot of positive forces going on in this house. We have a lot of orbs that float around this house.
The story starts here, at the home of Gene Otto. In the early 1900s, at the age of 4, he was presented Robert.
The doll was given to Jean by a Bahamian girl, and they think that she put some type of voodoo spell on it. And the doll took a bizarre effect on Gene. And everywhere he went, whenever he got in trouble for things as a child, he said, "I didn't do it, Robert did it." And he'd blame the doll. And this went on through his entire life.
Gene married Anne, and they continued to live in his childhood home. He also continued to be influenced by the doll.
Some people said that he was abusive towards her. And when he was confronted with his abuse, he'd say, "I didn't do it, Robert did it."
Gene passed away, but some say that Robert's spirit lived on. Anne, who hated the doll, chose to lease their home rather than remain there, leaving the doll and the house forever, or so she thought.
In the lease, there was a clause that said, Robert must remain the sole occupant of the attic room. And that's when weird things started happening. There were some people who rented the house out, and they'd hear moving around upstairs. They'd hear footsteps running back and forth, things moving around. They'd go up into the attic, and they'd find Robert had moved from one side of the room to the other.
After Anne died, it was this old fort, now the East Martello Museum, which would become the next home for Robert. The allegedly haunted garrison from the Civil War times seemed like the perfect home for such a haunted doll.
I get very nervous at times. There's times I hear, I see shadows. You'll hear a slam every now and then. When I'm walking sometimes I'll hear footsteps behind me.
Goody Estevez is a docent at the museum. Every morning she opens the museum and makes her presence known to the spirits who live there.
When I come in the front door, I call out and I say, "Okay, I'm here and I'm going to take over the fort and I'm going to watch it for you."
But one thing she won't do is touch him.
Just his aura about him, it's hard to explain. I won't touch him.
It is said Robert doesn't like to be touched.
The first time I was here taking photos of Robert, and I thought I want to get one without his hat on his head. As soon as I leaned up to move the hat, you could feel, it went from a simple-looking doll to where, boom, you could see life come into it. You could see life come into its eyes, and you could tell he did not want me touching his hat. I moved the hat, I tried to take the photo, the camera would not work. Snap, snap, it's doing nothing. I set the camera down, put his hat back on his head, camera went off 4 times.
Problems with electronic equipment have become a common occurrence around Robert. Naturally, everyone who visits wants a photo of Robert, but that can prove a difficult task. Like the visitor from Idaho who took pictures around the museum. He claimed when he got back home that every single picture on the roll was of Robert.
See if he'll be receptive to us.
David occasionally works with paranormal investigators who use various recording devices to pick up energy, orbs around the doll, even odd noises, which are a common occurrence at the fort. Strange, unexplained noises, like this one, caught on tape by a paranormal investigator just a year ago.
Anybody here? Hello? Hello? Anybody here?
Are a regular experience for Goody.
A lot of people talk about feeling a very negative heat energy around him. Other people claim to see him move within the case, change positions all on his own.
Because of all the supernatural activity, Goody is now documenting these strange events.
I take the journal only because there's so many different people that come in here and they all have stories. So I started writing things down, the happenings that go on around here, and it's getting thick.
The greatest amount of strange activity happens annually in October, when the doll is sent to another museum in town called the Custom House for display.
I think that it's a fort that's unhappy when Robert's not here. When he leaves, chaos seems like it just goes haywire around here. I've been physically pushed. The cat, he walks around sometimes howling, and it's hard to explain the things that go on. But when I can't take it anymore, I call over to the Custom House and I say, okay, let's get Robert back here. Whatever is here, it makes them happy. Get Robert back.
Goody has come to terms with the spirits that live here. Little surprises her now. Even the time she opened the museum to find a chair in front of Robert's case.
I don't think it's Gene coming back for the doll. I think Robert has a very unique spirit. There's a lot of cases where different objects are haunted. They say, be careful of the objects you possess, or one day they might end up possessing you. And that seems to be the case with Robert.